The impact of President Trump's 145% tariffs on Chinese goods is playing out in real time at American ports.
U.S. imports from China just hit a 2-decade low. That's because of tariffs.
It is coming, especially with the significant slowdown in the number of containers coming from China to the U.S. That means that the inventory will, in the next few weeks, in my view, we will begin to see empty shelves.
What does that mean for the American consumer?
Now, it's going to be interesting because retailers, big and small, have been telling me that we've got about 4, 5, 6 weeks left of normal inventory levels. If this continues on for any duration, we'll have fewer items to select from, some spot shortages, and likely prices will increase as they're affected by these tariffs from a host of countries across the Pacific Rim.
In the last few decades, the world economy has gotten more connected than ever, but now everything's changing fast. The flow of goods between the world's biggest economy and second biggest economy is totally falling apart, and that's gonna hurt both sides of the Pacific in a big way. Now, I've written a lot about how U.S. imports are way down, but the numbers show our exports are dropping like a rock too. According to CNBC, there's been a 51% decline in exports at the Port of Portland and a 28% decline in exports at the Port of Tacoma. What began as a rapid drop in U.S. imports as shippers cut orders from manufacturing partners around the world has now extended into a nationwide export slump, with the U.S. agricultural sector and top farm products including soybeans, corn, and beef taking the hardest hit. The latest trade data shows that a slide in U.S. exports to the world, and China in particular, that began in January, now extends to most U.S. ports, according to trade tracker Vision, which analyzed U.S. export container bookings for the 5-week period before President Donald Trump's tariffs began and the 5 weeks after the tariffs took effect. The farming sector has been warning of a crisis, and ports data is showing more evidence of lack of ability to move product out to global markets. Right now, 10 major U.S. ports have seen their export volumes drop by double digits. That's really bad news. China has always been the biggest market for American farm products. In normal years, we sell tens of billions of dollars worth of soy, pork, dairy, almonds, and apples to Chinese buyers. But now, that door has been slammed shut thanks to crazy high tariffs. Soy farmers got hit the worst with a 125% tariff from China, while pork exports are getting crushed under tariffs as high as 72%. Dairy prices, things we all buy like cheese and milk, are going up as China and Mexico hit back. California almond growers and Washington apple farmers are feeling the pain too, as Chinese and Indian tariffs drive up prices and kill demand. The head of the Agriculture Transportation Coalition didn't sugarcoat it, calling the whole thing a full-blown crisis. According to AgTC, farmers are already losing massive amounts of money. Just this week, China backed out of buying 12,000 tons of pork. That's the biggest pork order cancellation since 2020. Some folks think the U.S. could just sell to other countries instead, but farmers and exporters are saying that there are no other markets that can quickly replace China's demand. We're already seeing layoffs, production cuts, and prices dropping 20% for some products. It's hurting everyone in the production chain: farms, truck drivers, processing plants, and more. If things don't turn around soon, a lot of American farms could go completely broke. The trade war is hitting farming so hard that the Trump administration is already talking about putting together a big aid package for farmers. From the looks of it, they're going to need all the help they can get. But it's not just farming getting hit. Our whole retail sector is feeling the pain. After Trump slapped steep tariffs on Chinese goods, especially last month when the back-and-forth trade war pushed tariffs on most Chinese stuff up to 145%. Imports from China are falling through the floor. Gene Soroka, executive director of the Port of Los Angeles, told CNN Tuesday, "This week, we're down about 35% compared to the same time last year, and these cargo ships coming in are the first ones to be attached to the tariffs that were levied against China and other locations last month." Gene continues to say, "That's why the cargo volume is so light." The drop-off in imports from China on the boats now coming into port is more than 50%. That's a 50% drop-off in imports from China. Many importers have canceled previous orders because U.S. businesses are not interested in paying the steep tariff, which can more than double the price of Chinese goods. There's just no way we can replace all the stuff that's not coming in from China anymore. That is the hard truth. Even if we started building new factories tomorrow morning, it would take years before we could make up for what we're not getting from China. Rather than import goods to the United States, some retailers are choosing to pay to store their products in Chinese warehouses because it's cheaper than paying the tariff, according to Ryan Peterson, CEO of Flexport, a logistics and freight forwarding broker. With importers and retailers unwilling to pay the steep cost, deliveries could continue to fall as much as 60%, said Peterson. Consumers will start to notice very soon. A 60% decline in containers means 60% less stuff arriving, he told CNN's Pamela Brown Tuesday. It's only a matter of time before they sell through existing inventory, and then you'll see shortages, and that's when you see price hikes. He's nailed it. It's just a matter of time before we start seeing empty shelves and obvious shortages at stores all over the country. I've talked to several small business owners who import products from China. They are freaking out. One guy who runs a kitchen supply store told me, "I've been doing this for 22 years. I've never seen anything like this. Half my catalog is gonna disappear, and I have no backup suppliers." A woman who owns a toy store said she's already raising prices 30% on what she has left in stock because she knows she can't get more without paying through the nose. Of course, this trade war is hurting China badly too. China's manufacturing engine is spluttering, with new data revealing the most severe hit to China's economy since the COVID shutdown. The country's economy slipped from growth to contraction after the PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index, fell below 50 in April. New export orders sank to their lowest level since December 2022, when China was still under lockdown, according to figures reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. Major financial institutions, including UBS and Goldman Sachs, have slashed their growth forecasts for China. We have become totally dependent on China, and they've become just as dependent on us. It's like a bad marriage where neither side can really walk away clean. So, let's hope cooler heads step in and both sides start talking instead of fighting. The longer this goes on, the worse it gets for regular people on both sides of the ocean. But even if they started talking tomorrow, it would probably be months before they made a deal. For now, we just have to get ready for tough times ahead. Even President Trump is now saying Americans will just have to deal with having less stuff. Trump was asked Sunday by NBC's Kristen Welker if he would acknowledge that his tariff plan will result in higher prices. At first, the president suggested tariffs will make us rich, similar to sentiments he's expressed when touting his economic policy. But in the next turn, he suggested that American children, for example, do not need as many toys, and that Americans do not need to spend as much money on junk we don't need.
I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
The mess we're in is gonna hit retail stores especially hard. I was at the mall last weekend. It was like a ghost town, honestly. Half the stores had closing sales signs, and the ones still open didn't have many customers at all. The manager at one clothing store told me they're already having trouble getting new inventory, and they might not make it through the summer. People don't realize how much of our stuff comes from China, she said. It's not just the cheap stuff, it's everything. According to Challenger Gray and Christmas, retail layoffs are already way up this year. According to the report, U.S. retailers eliminated more than 64,000 jobs during the first 4 months of 2025. That is the second most of any industry. That 4-month total is a 296% increase from the same 4-month span in 2024. Retail bankruptcies have played a big role in this surge. Several longtime retailers announced bankruptcies in 2025, including Jo-Ann Fabrics, which left 19,000 employees without jobs. Party City, which filed for bankruptcy twice and left 16,000 workers unemployed. And Big Lots, which is finding new life after its bankruptcy, but still had to lay off 1,000 people in the process. And the bad news just keeps coming every day about more big stores going under. Just yesterday we found out that Rite Aid is planning to close or sell all their stores as they file for bankruptcy, according to Bloomberg. The media outlets stated funding from investors fell short, and the company faced a series of economic issues, including tariffs, more expensive supply costs, pricier landlords, and what Schroeder called a dramatic downturn in the economy. What's crazy is that even before this trade war blew up, experts were already saying that about 15,000 stores would close in America in 2025. You can see it happening everywhere you go. Empty storefronts with for lease signs, strip malls that are half empty, once busy shopping centers that now look abandoned. And it's getting worse by the day. I'm not making this up. I am not exaggerating. This really is happening right now. A major economic crisis has started, and people are going to be shocked by what happens in the next few months. The supply chain problems we saw during COVID might end up looking like a warm-up exercise compared to what's coming. The hardest part to swallow is that a lot of this damage could have been avoided. Oh, trade wars might sound good in theory. We'll show them. But in practice, they're like a game of economic chicken where both sides crash. Regular people end up paying the price while politicians argue about who's to blame. So what can you do? What can you do right now? My advice, stock up on essentials now, and I mean now, while you can still find them at reasonable prices. Don't go crazy, don't be greedy, do not hoard. But having a little extra of the things you really need is not a bad idea. And if you work in retail or any industry that depends heavily on imports, start making backup plans now. The storm is not gonna blow over anytime soon. Thanks for watching. Please send this video to family and friends, and please subscribe to Epic Economist.